With Renegades right around the corner, I wanted to do a series leading up to it going over the best builds for each class and subclass. If you're a new or returning player, I really hope these videos can help get you started, as some of these builds are pretty crazy now. All of these builds are going to be made so you can use whatever weapons you would like to, but I will go over some recommendations that fit with each subclass. On top of that, these builds are not going to be taking advantage of any artifact perks, so you have a clean slate once Renegades launches. I am going to be recording these builds ahead of time, so if any patches come out to change this around, I will update the description down below. As a final note, there are a lot of great builds in Destiny, so if you have one that's similar to this one or even better, definitely be sure to drop it in a comment down below. Again, as this series is to give a place for new returning players to get back into the game a lot quicker. So with all that being said, if you enjoy, learn anything new, and are excited for Renegades, consider doing all the normal YouTube stuff. All of the support is what allows me to make series like this for you all, and I truly appreciate all the love that you show. But without further ado, let's jump into today's build. All right, everyone, we have made it to the Stasis Titan. I am so excited. I've been waiting for this one quite a while because it is so good now. But for the exotic, I would definitely recommend running Syntheseps with this specific setup. But if you want to run something like Ice Mantle, you could do so as well. But with Syntheseps, if you don't know, it has biotic enhancement, so when you're surrounded, you gain increased melee and super damage, as well as improved weapon handling and reload speed. So Syntheseps is just a classic with this build. This is going to be a very melee and super focus based build, so that's going to play super well into it. Now, again, if you don't want the damage aspect of it, you could play into Ice Mantle, so you can kind of make your class ability also freeze targets. You're also going to get some Frost Armor for survivability. These also work very, very well, but again, I would probably just recommend Syntheseps to play into damage. But now, how does this build work, and why is it arguably one of the strongest builds of the game now? And that is going to be with our aspects, Howl of the Storm. So while sliding, activate your charge melee ability to launch a wave of stasis energy forward that freezes enemy combatants, so enemy players, and creates stasis crystals, gain an additional melee charge. So as you see here, we now have 2 melee charges, and we can essentially just slide, and we can make up a bunch of stasis crystals. And these are going to freeze targets. Obviously, if you shatter all these crystals on the frozen target, it's going to do a ton of damage. And the whole goal of this build is going to be able to spam this all the time. The way we're going to be able to do that is going to be first off with our aspect Tectonic Harvest. So shattering a stasis crystal or frozen targets creates a stasis shard. This shard grants you melee energy when picked up by you or your allies, while Tectonic Harvest is equipped. Picking up stasis shards grants stacks of frost armor. So this aspect does quite a lot. As you see here, we can basically throw, if we shatter a stasis crystal, we will make stasis shards that we can pick up. It grants melee energy back, and it also grants frost armor. The frost armor is very strong with this setup as well, because that will grant us damage reduction. Since this is going to be a very aggressive build, you're going to be able to basically just have a bunch of damage resist, a bunch of melee energy coming in. And this has been changed now, so there's no cooldown. So as you see, we're constantly making stasis crystals every time we break, or stasis shards every time we break a stasis crystal. Sorry for that. So essentially, you're going to be able to just constantly keep getting stasis shards over and over again, which in return means max frost armor and crazy amounts of melee energy. Now, for the fragments that will play into this, we can take something like Whisper of Fissures, so increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you shatter a stasis crystal to defeat a burst target. This is obviously very good because now, as you just saw, we can just do more damage with everything that we're doing here. For the next fragment that you probably also just saw is going to be Whisper Reduction, so nearby stasis shards track to your position. This is just great because if you are far away and you break these things, those stasis shards you make will just come to you, and you don't really have to worry about having to stress run up, get everything. You're gonna always get the frost armor and always get the melee energy back, which is super good. On top of that, this also does provide plus 10 health and super, which are also very, very good stats with the setup. And then for your next one is just Whisper of Hunger, so increases the melee energy gain for picking up stasis shards. It does grant minus 20 melee, but with the amount of energy you get back, as again you probably have already seen, I know I keep doing this over and over, but you get crazy energy back with these stasis shards with this fragment equipped, and it is so good. Now, if you don't want to play into this, if you think you're already getting enough melee energy, you could take something like Whisper of Shards. When you break the stasis crystals, you get grenade energy back if you want to throw your grenade a lot more often. But since this is a very heavy melee focused build, I like to play into Whisper of Hunger, but Shards is also a good option. Now, for the final fragment, it is just going to be Whisper of Run, so your frost armor has increased duration and maximum stat count. So as you see here now, you can get up to max frost armor stacks, which is going to be 8 stacks. And it also lasts for quite a long time. As you see, we will refresh every single time. It lasts for about 13 seconds. And since you can just do this constantly, this right here is the whole gameplay loop. It's just to break crystals, keep getting frost armor, keep getting melee energy. And again, you could just keep max DR, max spammage of the melee, I guess. and it is just so good and so fun. Now for the abilities, Glacier Grenade is probably going to be your best bet because you just have more stasis crystals to break, but if you want to run the other 2 grenades, you could as well. For your melee, you do have Silver Strike, but never actually use Silver Strike. Always use the slot option for Howl the Storm here to always make the crystals. For Barricade, I just run a Rally Barricade, but you can swap this out for whatever you want to do. And then Glacier Quake is your only super option, but it is just so good paired with this build. Not only is it just a good super in general, but if you don't know, if you pop Glacier Quake and slide and do your normal attack button is left mouse, I don't know, not really sure on controller, but you can do your normal Howl the Storm like aspect. And this is what you want to do the whole time in your super. And as you see, you can constantly keep shattering these stasis crystals. And if you're on something like a boss here, and this can just do a ton of damage, and then this can go into your normal melee. And since you are constantly making all these stasis crystals here, you can just keep spamming your melee over and over again, and you can already see how ridiculous this is. This is without Synthesis proc, so you weren't getting the super damage or anything, but it is just disgusting. And like, you can do this in any ad clear scenario, any boss scenario. You're gonna just constantly have infinite melees if you are getting these, you know, shards picked up here. And you can just spam this into each other over and over. It is so fun. But now jumping into armor, for these stats, you're going to want to look out for 200 super as your main stat here. Now, pairing the 200 super with something like Synthesis, you can basically make that interaction I just showed you do a crazy amount of damage. If you can only get 200 super, I mean, it'll work because you just want to get your super up as fast as possible with this setup, but try to get to 200 super. Now, you might think it might be beneficial to try to get to 200 melee with this build, since this is a melee focused build, but in all honesty, the damage that you're doing with your melee here is mostly coming from the shatter damage. So with that being said, you kind of just want to get to 100 melee just to increase the generation to get your melee back as fast as possible, and then really play into 200 super so you can actually increase the super damage a ton. Then for the final stat, you can play into health survivability if you would like to. If you want to play into grenade spam, you can obviously try to get to 100 grenade. It's totally up to you and what you want to do. But now for the armor mods, this is what I'm running if you like to copy them down. But as a closer look, I do run a hands-on and a dynamo for extra super energy. I do run a rally barricade just so it has the lower cooldown, so I can just practice a lot more often. Then a heavy ammo finder just to make it more heavy. Hands-on works here and there because you will actually kind of get melee kills with this build. You can kill enemies with these stasis slides, so this is just nice to have. And then playing into our arms, I do run triple heavy hand for the same reason, because this will also just be able to make orbs on every single melee kill that we do get. So as you see here, if you actually do end up getting a kill with it, you will make an orb. And the other cool benefit, and you also get the super energy as well because of hands-on, but the other cool benefit is that if you basically freeze an enemy and you still kill a target with, say, something like crystal, you will also make that orb, since I guess it technically is still count as melee damage. So you keep that in mind as well when you're doing any build like this. You're going to get that super energy, you're going to get the orb alongside also shattering all the crystals, so you can just keep this chain going over and over again while also still taking full advantage of your armor mods as well. Now for your chest piece, just go with resistant mods. Obviously just swap this out for all the content that you're going into. And for the boots, I like to run double recuperation because this gives you 70 HP on orb pickup, which is just very good. There's literally no diminishing returns here, so you might as well just take 2 if you are going to do it. They may nerf this in Renegades, but as of now, it still works. So having that pair with the health stat, you can pretty much become unkillable because of the orbs you are making, and pairing up with frost armor. And then I like to run an absolution so I can get some energy back for everything whenever I pick an orb up. Again, this kind of help you spam your rally barricade a little bit more often alongside your grenade and melee as well. And then for the final thing, the Holy Trinity here, powerful attraction, so I can pick all the orbs up around me whenever I use my class ability. This is going to be good. Again, you're going to be getting super energy for that, but now you're also going to be getting orbs for health and armor charge. And then that armor charge can play into special finishers, so whenever you finish a target, you will get special ammo. And then proximity ward, just so when you go for a finished target, you will get an overshield. This is just good for survivability, since this is a very aggressive build. Now for weapons with this setup, by far hands down the best weapon to run is Icebreaker. Now I know not everybody's going to have an Icebreaker, but this is just so good. And the reason it's so good, as you probably saw earlier, you can basically freeze the target, and when you shoot them, it's going to ignite, breaking all of those crystals as you just saw. And you see we have our melee back fully here. And, well, I actually didn't freeze them right there, but if you do get the freeze off, you are going to be able to just shatter all these crystals with the ignition, as you see here again. And you can basically just chain this over and over again, and there's never a single time where you basically won't have infinite melee energy. This even works in ad clear scenarios, because say you do freeze a target, you can basically shoot them, it will ignite everything, which is again super good. And with Icebreaker regenerates ammo, and if you have the catalyst, when you shoot a frozen target, you have a chance to return ammo. You pretty much just have infinite ammo with this setup. and it's just disgusting for bosses and ag clear. It just pairs so well with this build. But again, I know not everybody has it, so you essentially just want to look for something that can break crystals. If you have something like a wave frame, that can also do the job pretty well. Just get the crystals broken extremely quick, and you can kind of just keep playing this over and over. But like I said in the beginning, the weapons are totally up to you. These are crafted, so you can run whatever you like to, but I would try to look out for a weapon that can break crystals extremely easy. As you saw earlier, even if you have something like a sidearm, you can shoot them in one shot, which is super nice. You just basically want to break crystals, because again, the crystals are going to be doing the most damage with this setup. Now for set bonuses, there's nothing here too crazy that's really standing out, because again, your stasis shatter is what is doing most of the damage here, so you're not going to be able to proc things like anon adapter too much. You're not really using weapons with this build other than to break crystals, so you don't need any weapon focused things. So in all honesty, like the 2-piece smoke jumper is always going to be good, since you can make orbs with your melee, which is nice. And 4-piece is also good because you will get special ammo progress if you are running double special. This could be very solid. You also heal whenever you go for finishers, which is nice. If you run something like the Trials Armor setup, you pick up an ammo break and heal, you could be good. So in all honesty, 2-piece smoke jumper probably going to be your best way to go with this build, because nothing else really matters that much. And then finally, for the Transmog in this build, I went for the same look as my Warlock, and the Hunter will have the same as well. But again, just playing into basically all the Stasis armor here, and one of the new Synthesubs ornaments, and one of the new shaders. The little diamond lance on the back, I guess, doesn't really matter because you're not really going to be using it with this build. But overall, you kind of just become the Stasis king with this. You just can shatter everything. It is so much fun, and if you want to make your Titan look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. But anyways, that's going to do it all for the brand new Stasis Titan build. This is legitimately one of the most fun builds in the game that I have played. It is super aggressive. It is super fun to play into the shatter. If you have something like Icebreaker, it makes it even more fun. And it's not only just for the fun factor, it is also disgustingly strong. It's arguably even better than Prismatic Titan now, and it plays the same. It's essentially just Stasis Consecration in a way, but you do get to spam it a lot more often. You could argue it has more survivability. I'm not 100% sure on that. You just get to spam it a lot more often, and your super just does an absurd amount of damage. If you haven't tried this out, it's definitely one you're going to want to give a shot and have ready for Renegades, and trust me, you're going to fall in love with it. Anyway, so that's going to do it all for me. If you haven't seen my Warlock build, definitely be sure to check it out, and the Stasis Hunter build will be coming up tomorrow. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.